everyone, I'm Will Brown and welcome to the WP Quickies series, bite-sized WordPress tips and tricks in 30 minutes or less. So in this lunchtime quickies, I'm going to be looking at the best ways to add video to your WordPress website. So this is a really popular topic, so I've had quite a lot of entries for this, either one person consistently and requesting this each week, or lots of other people find a really popular topic, so I'll never know because it's all anonymous. So thanks for taking the time to join me this pretty cloudy Sydney afternoon. Welcome to those overseas and those watching on replay as well. Before we start, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, ding the bell as well for latest notifications. If you're watching on LinkedIn as well, happy to connect with you. Otherwise, give me a thumbs up on whatever social network that you're on just now. We have our WordPress Facebook group now, so the link is there. So if you just go onto Facebook and search WordPress Sydney Meetup, then you'll get to our new group, which is lots of great discussions. So it's much better than a page. We moved away from the page. So join the group if you haven't done already. And while I'm just doing these little announcements, drop your name and where you're from in the comments, and I'll give a little shout out to you. So we've got Dowie from On Top of IT Services and Alan as well from Annandale. Thanks for joining me, guys. As always, I get asked about the links for this. I make all the links available afterwards on the meetup page and on the social media platforms underneath the video. I'll add a comment to everything. So on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or wherever it's being broadcast. I'll collate all the links afterwards and pop them down on there. Joey J, back after missing 2 weeks. Thanks for joining me, Joey J. I hope everything's okay over there. And Morris says hi. Hi, Morris. How are you doing today? If you want to ask any questions during the stream, then just drop them down in the comments. Use a hashtag ask at the beginning. Just makes it a little bit easier for me to pick out the questions from there. Okay, let's jump in, shall we? Adding video to your WordPress website. I'll make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So adding videos, it's obviously going to enhance the quality of your site. It's going to boost engagement of your blog posts as well. A couple of bits of stats, or maybe it's one stat, is a video adding videos to landing pages can increase your conversion rates by up to 80%. So I was looking at quite a lot of facts when I was studying for the content for this. And I didn't want to go overboard. I had a whole list of stats, but essentially adding video anywhere on your website is going to increase engagement, conversions, and everything. So if you haven't done video on your website already, it's probably a good time to look into adding some videos for those. And you can repurpose your old content as well. So you can go to Google Analytics, have a look at some of your most popular posts, and then just write some video scripts, record yourself, pop it onto the top as well, and that's going to boost your engagement even more for those. And you can do the same for some of your content that's not so good. So maybe try and identify some content that's on page 2 of Google. And then add some videos to those contents to try and boost those engagement up as well. But basically adding video to your WordPress website anywhere is going to be a good thing. Okay, so let's step a little bit back. John says, made it in time. Hi, John. So let's step a little bit back in time and let's discuss what embedding is, because we'll make it a little bit clear in a second. So what is embedding? So before we get into adding the videos to your WordPress website, the process itself, where you add the video in, 99% of the time, it's called embedding. Now, embedding is where you add another part of a website to a page on your website. Now, when adding video content to your site, you're mostly going to embed it from another website or service platform like YouTube, like Google, like Dailymotion, like Vimeo, things like that. You're going to be adding that content from their website embedding it into your website. Now, embedding website content is usually done using an iframe HTML element. Now, iframes have been along for years, since one of the early parts of the internet. When it first emerged, iframes have been present then. Now, iframe is basically just a content window, and then the other website appears inside that iframe. Now, usually, iframes a little bit separate from your website. However, depending on how it's embedded or the properties that you give an iframe, it can actually access parts of your content. So for example, you can give an iframe a property of allow-same-origin, and that allows the iframe to access cookies and local storage from the parent window as if it came from the same domain. So if you're on, for example, my website, zeropointdevelopment.com, and I am embedding some video content from my wp-wingman.com, I can add the property allow same origin, and that will allow that window from WP Wingman, the video and all the stuff that comes with analytics, to use cookies on my local machine as if it's actually part of the 0 Point Development website. There's another property called allow top navigation, and that allows the iframe to navigate to a parent of the default URL. So it allows you to basically, if something's running in the iframe, it can then manipulate your go to the URL in your navigation system. So for example, at the end of a video, it could say, I've got an ebook for you, fill out this form, and then you could force the parent page to go into that particular URL. There's a few other properties called allow forms, that allows form submissions within an iframe, allow scripts, you allow JavaScript, allow pop-ups as well. So that would allow, whatever the code is in the iframe to put pop-ups onto your website. And the last one is allow pointer lock. And that's quite interesting. It stops the pointer from going outside the iframe. So you're just basically manipulating within the iframe boundary until you press escape, and then your video pointer can go back out to the whole page. So essentially, when you're embedding a video, it's going to normally be an iframe. And again, just I want to make sure that you understand how the videos are getting into there and some of the issues that can come along with, because if you're just embedding any old video, that video can come with pop-ups, it can come with scripts, it can come with tracking stuff. So if you've got these properties on the iframe, then that means it's able to manipulate your website, and that might be good or it might be bad. It's just, you have to judge it for yourself and just have a look. So always have a look at the iframe and the properties and what you're embedding into your website to make sure that it's not going to do anything that you don't want it to do. But basically, the primary advantage of embedding a video is that you don't have to store nor stream the video on your system. So even though there's some caveats for security, overall, it's a good thing. Okay, this is a question that I get asked often when talking about videos in WordPress, or videos and web pages anyway, is what are the bandwidth data implications of embedding YouTube videos or any videos on your website? Now, both, for example, this case for YouTube, now both the YouTube player and the video content, they're going to be streamed. If you're embedding on your website, they're going to be streamed from YouTube servers, okay? So once you embed, once you use an iframe, then that content is on the other hosting platform. Now, the only bandwidth your site is going to use is the few bytes it takes to add the video player and the embed code on your web pages. So if you're embedding videos properly using the iframe, then your own website hosting plan is not going to incur any bandwidth issues. It's all going to be on the server that you're embedding it from, in this case YouTube, or it could be any other website there. And that's the same basically for all the top platforms, so Vimeo as well. Anything that you're embedding it from, once you got it in that iframe, then the data is going to be taken from their servers and not yours, because you're not hosting it. Okay, so that's a good question that I get asked a lot. So again, it's pretty good. If you're doing iframe, you're not hosting it yourself, you're not storing it yourself. So you're basically using all the other person's data for streaming it to your website, which is great. Okay, so how do you embed the WordPress video into WordPress? Okay, there is a WordPress embed block. So this is the Gutenberg block editor. I'm not going to cover the classic editor because it's a similar process, but most people are using the block editor now. So WordPress has an embed block, and it automatically recognizes many of the top platforms, including things like Dailymotion, TED Talks, Vimeo, WordPress.tv, YouTube, and others. And it's not just limited to videos as well. So you can post in tweets, for example, and they'll pop and it'll recognize that it's a tweet embed. Now, Facebook has closed their OEmbed API, and that affects Instagram as well. So essentially, if you're trying to copy stuff from Facebook or Instagram, it's not going to work in this WordPress embed block because, for whatever reasons, they have closed the API on that. So you can't use Facebook traditionally with embeds with WordPress, unfortunately, or any other website for that. I've got a question here. Dow is asking, how does this affect your page speed performance? It's negligible. Once that iframe is running, you're basically streaming that data from the other site, and because the iframe is like a separate block, Then once that block is rendered, and then anything inside that, you're pulling resources from the other server. So it's not going to affect your page speed performance, and Google recognizes that. So if you've got a big iframe on your page and you're pulling in this huge, massive 4K video, it's not going to affect your page speed because that iframe has already been rendered on your page, and then it's drawing the information from the other website. So it's going to affect the other websites' server resources and not yours. Great question, Debbie. So that's the WordPress embed block there. So I've got a YouTube URL one there. So you can choose the block from the navigator in edit mode, bring that down, and there's lots of different services to choose from, like YouTube or Vimeo, or you can just paste in, and then WordPress will kind of work out what block it needs to display that, if it's one of the ones it knows automatically for that. Okay, so the first step to embed a video into your WordPress is you're going to need a URL for that. Now you can embed a single YouTube URL or a playlist as well. Now you can't embed a channel and not using the WordPress native stuff, just a single video or a playlist as well. Now a playlist, this is an example of an embedded playlist already in WordPress. So you can recognize playlists because they've got a little icon in the top right hand corner, and when you click on it, it expands out and you've got all the different videos in the playlist. Otherwise, if that was just a single video, all you get is like a share button up there, and you just see that one single video. So once you've grabbed the URL, here we're on to YouTube just now. We go up to the browser tab, and you can click that, so you can copy the address in the address bar there. So that was just a YouTube/watch !V for video and the ID of the video. Excuse me. So you can use that, and that's okay. Or you can go down below the video and click on the little share icon, the one that's the badly drawn arrow is pointing to. And what that's going to do is that's going to pop up this little window here. Okay, and you can copy the YouTube link here, and that's one of the YouTube shortener URLs. So it's youtube.be and then slash the video ID. So that will work as well with WordPress. You can do the traditional URL from the top browser, or you can embed this short code as well, and WordPress will recognize it's a YouTube video and paste that in. You can click on the embed icon as well. So go back to this slide, the icon on the top left with the little arrows inside, that's the embed icon. If you click on that, you can actually see what it's going to copy in, like the WordPress's, YouTube's recommended iframe code for there. So if you want to do it manually, and I'll cover that in a few slides, that's basically the code that's going to bring into your, so you can copy it onto your website. But we'll jump forward a little bit. So we've got the URL now, whether that's from the address bar or whether it's from that little pop-up that popped in. Here's just a quick little GIF. So what I'm doing here is I've got a WordPress page or a post open, and just got a title, page title, and then what I'm doing is I'm going underneath to choose a block. All I'm doing is right-clicking. You can't see the right-click because that doesn't come up in the video, but right-click, I'm choosing paste, and it's pasting that URL in, and then WordPress itself recognizes that's a YouTube URL and assigns it to a YouTube embed block. And it's as simple as that. And what WordPress will do is it will usually expand the video to the full content of your main content area for that, which is quite nice. So you don't have to muck around with sizes. Now, if you wanted to do it, so once you've done that, so that's the video here, it's embedded. If you want to check the code, then have a look at the source code. So I'm viewing the page just now. I'm right-hand clicking on source code, or I'm right-hand clicking and looking at the inspect element. And you can see here that the code for the video, and I've put a little box around it. So there it's bringing in, if you look a little bit above, it's like it's got the WordPress block, but essentially the code that's bringing it in is wrapped in a figure and a div, but there's that iframe down there for there, and it's got all the different properties that WordPress needs for that. But that's this code that WordPress generates itself. It's a little bit different from the YouTube iframe because, as I say, WordPress does a little bit of tinkering around. It adds lazy loadings. It has a look to see what your width is and sets the iframe nicely for that. Now, if you want to embed it directly, so if you want to bypass the WordPress doing it itself for whatever reason, and sometimes it's a valid reason. So sometimes here we are on YouTube again, we're underneath the video. I've clicked on the share. I've clicked on the embed icon, and this is the YouTube embed source here, the iframe source. Now, if you scroll down, so I haven't got the graphic there, but on the right-hand side with embed video, if you scroll down, there's a few little options that you can choose. So you can click to start the video at a particular time. You can also do things like hide player controls or show player controls, and have a little bit extra control about what's showing afterwards as well. So if that's important to you, WordPress doesn't do that natively from their YouTube embed block. You could just do that manually. So what you do here, you come to YouTube, click on the share, get this embed video, choose your options at the bottom, and that changes the code there. Click on the copy, and then you flick back to WordPress. And rather than do a paste in this time, we're going to use something called the native WordPress HTML block. And there's an example of it up on the screen. And what I've done is I've pasted the YouTube iframe code. It's exactly the same one as you saw in the previous slide. But what you'll notice is that YouTube tends to change the height and the width of the video, usually depending on the ratio it's uploaded to YouTube. So that might not be the full width of your WordPress main content area. So you're probably going to need to go in and adjust the width and height. And there's plenty of online ratio calculators. So if you're not too sure, what the width is going to be or the height is going to be, just say your width is, just say you've got a 1000 display area. You could change the width there to 1000, but then you need to figure out what ratio you'll need to put for the height. And there's lots of online calculators that can do that for you. But essentially, you need to change the width and height if you're copying it manually from YouTube. Okay, so that's the kind of manual process, doing it with the WordPress block, embed block, or pasting in manually using the HTML block itself. And it's a bit limited as to what WordPress generates. It generates the iframe with the size. That's a bit it really. You can only do a single video. You can do a playlist as well, but it's all in that single. It's the way that YouTube formats it, so you don't have any control over that. So another option for adding videos is to use a WordPress plugin. Now, there are heaps of plugins out there for embedding videos, but this one is my favorite because it's got really good styling. It's really well maintained, and the code that spits out at the front end is really quite nice. It's not too messy and not too deep. And so this one here is called Feeds for YouTube Pro, and it's from a company called Smashballoon, I think. I think it's Smashballoon. Now this one here is the Pro version. It comes with a lot of extra stuff. So there's it allows you to automatically embed YouTube channel videos, lots of different customizable formats such as grid, carousel. This one is a grid here that I'm showing, but you've got carousel, you've got gallery, you've got lists, or you can have a custom one as well, so you can change the format and move things around as well. Now it automatically imports new videos as well, which is quite good. So you can actually set it to refresh every day, and it'll have a look at YouTube. It's basically using the YouTube API. I'll have a look at YouTube, and if there's any new videos in there, then I'll download the thumbnail and show it in the gallery or the carousel. It also works with live feeds as well. So if you've got live streaming, it'll add a thumbnail there for you as well. So it's not just uploaded videos. So visit their website. I'll drop a link in just now, actually. And now this is the free version. So you can have a look at that, and then from that free version on the WordPress.org repository, there's a link to the Pro version as well. But if you just go to smashballoon.com, I think it is, and you'll be able to see that. And they've got a demo as well on the website, so you can actually see the stuff in real time, which is really, really nice. Now, the free version is very, very limited. It's not got all the different skins or all the different types of layouts for those. But if you want to try it out, free is a good way to go, but the Pro version is much, much, much better. Now, why would you use a plugin? Well, adding videos using a plugin to your WordPress website is going to give you more features than the core WordPress embed block, essentially. So if you want to do things like grids, carousels, have nice layouts, then you're probably going to need to build something yourself or use one of these plugins to do that. Quick question down here. Can you force a YouTube window to pop out? And should you put the size attributes or when it is sensible to allow default or user sizing? Yeah, you can force it to do a pop out. So I think on one of my websites, I've got a plugin that gets the latest or the newest video from a playlist. And what I do is I kind of manually change the thumbnail. And then when somebody clicks on it, it opens up a pop-up for that. And that's those pop-ups. You can define the size, or you can have it like a ratio of the viewport, which is your screen that you're working from. So yeah, you can do that. Should you? I don't know. You can. Some people like watching the videos in the pop-ups as well, because you can maximize it and still do stuff in the background, or you can drag it off to a different window and still interact with the main website as well. So there's advantages for doing pop-ups with video. Yep, so there's no detriment problem. As far as putting sizes or allowing people to size it, yep, most of the times you'll tend to find that people will put kind of small, like things like this, the gallery here. Obviously it's a small thumbnail, so if you press play, you're going to be like looking really kind of into it to try and see what's happening. Of course, you can use the full screen and bring it up. But if you've got a pop-up, a modal pop-up, then you can pop it up to whatever size you think people are going to use, and they can resize that if the modal pop-ups are resizable as well. But generally, people will kind of, if they want to really watch it, you probably put it just on full screen for those. But I think pop-ups are a reasonable idea. Good question, John. Another question I get asked, excuse me, is can I play videos from Amazon S3? Now, I know a lot of people like to host their own videos for whatever reason. It could be copyright, it could be data protection as well, to make sure that the data is in the correct region. But some people ask me, can I play videos from Amazon S3? And the answer is yes. It's very easy to play videos from Amazon S3 bucket, as long as that bucket has public access. So you need to go into the bucket, make sure that the links in there are publicly available, because by default it's all secure. So if you paste the link of the video out of a normal bucket, you wouldn't be able to see it because it's got no public access. So once it's public, that's fine. You can play videos from Amazon S3. I have done that in the past. I used to do that for client videos. So for training videos, I used to have them on Amazon S3 and just send them a link to a public in a public bucket. Now, the video content, it is streamed directly from the Amazon S3 servers. However, you're going to pay for the storage and the data transfer fees. And if you're streaming a lot of video content from Amazon S3, those data fees can be quite considerable. So it's okay for, the odd video. But if you're like really going to be storing a lot of videos and you've got a lot of traffic, a lot of people watching it, then your data fees are going to probably go through the roof. So for example, and I'll copy the link here. There's a little link here to Stack Overflow link. And in that example, in that web page there, basically somebody outlines to say if you're streaming 100 videos of 500 megabytes each, which isn't too much for like a 4K or a 1080p video. So if you're streaming 100 videos of 500 megabytes each, that's essentially 5 terabytes per month. It's going to cost you roughly between $450 to $500 a month. And that was a couple of years ago, so it's probably a little bit more just now. So just bear in mind costs if you are going to be hosting a lot of videos on Amazon S3. Where's my pointer? There it goes. Another question I get asked an awful lot is, can I upload videos to WordPress directly? And the short answer is yes. Yes, you can. But you should not. No. Videos, they take up a lot of disk space, and videos use up a lot of bandwidth. As you can see from the previous example there, previous slide, we were talking about Amazon S3. 100 videos of 500 megabytes each, that's 5 terabytes a month that's being streamed on your bandwidth of your host. So that's not only going to gobble up all your bandwidth. If you're on one of these limited hosting plans, they've probably got like a bandwidth cap. It's not only going to do that, but it's going to slow your server down, because every time somebody's watching that video, the server's having to open up another pipe and it's streaming out all that data as well. So multiply that by 100 and your website's going to be really, really, really slow. So it's bad practice to host your big videos on WordPress directly. It's okay if you just like one or two little videos that you want playing, but in general, you want to host them on a video service like YouTube, Vimeo, or Adillo. Now, YouTube is obviously free, but displays advertisements before, during, and after your video, and that can kind of seem a little bit unprofessional, especially if you're kind of running like a business website, or if you've got maybe like a members or online video learning system. You're not want to have other people's videos or adverts pop up when your members are watching that stuff. So YouTube is great for free content, but just bear in mind with those adverts, they control basically how the adverts are displayed. You've got no control over that. So there's two other services that I would highly recommend. Vimeo, yeah, Vimeo's been around for years, and it's probably like the top platform down from YouTube, but it's probably the most top platform used for professionals because it's a paid service and you don't get any adverts on there. So that would be my kind of go-to one. But there's another service I've been using. It's called Adillo, and I'll drop these. I'll drop the link for there. I'll just drop all the links in there. Obviously, you guys know YouTube, but you got Vimeo there if you haven't heard of Vimeo before. And Adillo is again, it's a paid service. I've got a lifetime deal. There's a lifetime deal on one of the websites. I grabbed that, and so I have unlimited storage and unlimited videos to be able to store from there with no caps as well. So that kind of lifetime deal comes up every so often. So I grabbed one of those. Adillo is really good. It's got lots of different options for playback and stuff. There's no affiliate links here. I'm just mentioning it. And so I've kind of moved over from Vimeo to Adillo because I got that lifetime deal for those. Now you have more options with paid platforms as well, like Vimeo and Adillo, such as things like the ability to restrict playback to one or more domains. And that's really kind of important, especially if you're using videos inside like a membership portal or an LMS. You don't want a member to log in and then be able to steal that video and stream it on as their own content. So being able to restrict a video to a particular domain name or IP address can really limit theft for that, stopping other people stealing your content. So yeah, use video services where possible. I just love this little GIF of Trump. No. So that's it, guys. That's my summary of adding video to WordPress. Now, WordPress makes it really easy to embed videos from the major platforms really quickly. As we talked about, you only really need a URL, paste it in, and WordPress more than likely will be able to recognize what it is and embed that in with limitations. You can always copy the iframe code directly from any of the platforms and paste it into a WordPress HTML block, if WordPress doesn't support that platform natively. Plugins, so if you're using a plugin, it's going to give you a more feature-rich functionality than the native WordPress embed block. So things like carousels and grids and channels, grabbing the latest videos as well. So things like that, the plugins will give you that more functionality. And avoid uploading videos directly to WordPress and instead use a video streaming platform like YouTube, Vimeo, or Adillo to stream your videos professionally. There was a question up here, or was there? No, I thought I saw one out there. That's okay. So thank you, guys. If you've got any other questions, you can pop them in the comments. But this is just a quickie one, adding videos to WordPress. I'm not expecting too many questions for this one, but I just wanted to cover how to add the video in the WordPress, but also talk a little bit about the video services as well, because I know a lot of people do, upload video to their WordPress website. I see it quite a lot in client sites, so I think people are a bit afraid of paying money to get a service, but once you pay for like a pro service like Vimeo or Adillo, all the benefits that you get from there, you never go back from that. You never really want to go back and host YouTube stuff unless it's just kind of free stuff like this, like these live streams. So guys, any other questions, just pop them down and I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'll take through some of these slides. So give me some suggestions for topics and I can queue them up. If there's anything that's kind of juicy out there, I might replace that with an existing one up till the end of the year. Still debating whether or not to go on next year or not with the WP Quickies. So you can let me know what you think I should do. A little bit about WPAustralia.org. So visit there and click on the Find a Meetup, and it tells you all the meetups in Australia, all the WordPress meetups in Australia. And it's also got a link on how to join the Slack channel, which kind of looks like that. And that's where all us WordPress devs and designers and business owners and e-commerce people and membership people, they all kind of hang out and just chat to each other. We ask questions. We answer questions, you kind of lark around as well sometimes. So I highly recommend you visit this wpaustralia.slack.com and join those, get to know some people in the industry. I'll leave that for you guys to look at another time, and happy to connect with you guys. I'm mostly on LinkedIn these days under Developer Will for just now. On Instagram as well, Wilbright_EU, and Twitter, Wilbright_EU as well. I'm probably going to change my LinkedIn at some point, and it's the same hook, just so it's consistent over everything. And a couple of more slides. Second last one is WordPress Security. So this is the WordPress Sydney evening meetup, which this month is on October the 26th, which is a Tuesday at 6 p.m. I'm going to be talking about WordPress security. So this is like kind of my big WordPress talk that I give pretty much every year, except I didn't give one last year because there were no meetups. But I'll just be doing a roundup of everything WordPress security related for that, so you can join me then. And that's the evening meetup. And then next week on WP Quickies, I'm going to be talking about WordPress accessibility for the WordPress core, themes, and plugins. Just kind of what it means, where it's at, what it means. You know, if you're in that kind of area, if you're a designer, if you're a developer, what sort of things you need to know and check out. So join me next week for that. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your time. Keep safe, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.